Hey, party people, over 12 here, and welcome to the second Suburban Gooners podcast. We are now actually on iTunes. If you haven't already subscribed, go there and subscribe today. Hope you enjoyed the last one. If you did, welcome back. If this is your first one, welcome. We've had a few bits of feedback from people. Apparently, you can hear me in your left ear and Ben and Chris in your right ear. Not sure what we can do about that, but if there is an issue, let us know and we'll look into it.
We're actually physically coming out of one of your ears, by the way, listener. So Steve is just behind your left shoulder, and Ben and I are behind your right.
Perhaps we should
following you wherever you are.
The other bit of feedback we had was Chris's connection. He was doing it from his phone last time, but he's actually on a real computer, aren't you, Chris?
I am. Technology. It's a fabulous thing.
As I say, the lads are with us. You're here as well, yeah, Ben?
Yes, here.
Cool. So straight away, let's talk about Norwich. I mean, it's been talked about. We played really well. The first goal was amazing. Ozil was brilliant again. Ramsey came on, was fantastic. You know, people talking about Santi and Ozil together again. Well, for the first time rather than again. But what I want to talk about actually is Bendtner. When he came on, he actually did all right.
Really?
He did, yeah, I thought he did all right.
Ben, you can start with that one.
This is going to sound silly, but he looked like an Arsenal player.
What, is it the shirt that gave it away?
Well, yes, yeah, and the badge. But no, in terms of sort of making runs, sort of dragging defenders, running into channels, etc. It was very strange to watch him because he's obviously knuckled down in the last couple of weeks, and I don't know, he seems to have got his head in the right place. Is it too soon to say that? Should I take that back now?
I don't know. I still stand by he will not score a goal this season. But
he nearly did though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He got through. He had a chance, and it was a good save from Ruddy, who actually he had a good game, didn't he, Ruddy? Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's a very good
We were talking about it beforehand, weren't we, Steve, about how most goalkeepers seem to come to the Emirates and have a brilliant game. But I guess if you're going to concede 4 goals, you can't really say that too much of a brilliant game. But I guess it was one of the best. It was probably the best game of football where we've been so I don't know. Were we that as dominant as game? There was games last season, like the Newcastle game at home. We were quite dominant, scored lots of goals, and unfortunately we parted like the Red Sea at the back, and that's why we conceded loads of goals. But I was just really. Do you know what I wrote in the blog today? I was really nervous, and I'm always nervous before Arsenal games. And when it was 1-0, you're thinking 1-0 at half time. You're thinking we do need that second goal. We got it, and then they scored with their second or third real attempt, and you're thinking to yourself, this is going to be we're one scabby free kick or corner away from having another 2-2 on our hands here, aren't we? So, and at that point when Norwich had scored, they were actually in the ascendancy, I thought. And then when we scored, I think Ozil on the was it the 58th minute or something, it was from a counter attack, and from then it was game over, wasn't it? But
yeah, with his head.
Yeah, with his head. That was a bit random.
Giroud to Ozil on the head.
On the head, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, he should be able to score with his head because, like, with his eyes, he can probably see Giroud out of his right eye, and then with his left eye, he'll be able to actually see the goal. So he should be perfect for being able to actually head it with his old chameleon eyes, shouldn't he? So.
Yeah, and it depends what the ratio between eye and forehead is. Does it like minimise it? Does it make it like more of a challenge?
Do you know what? Ozil's that good. He's probably analysed that in a split second that he's got a 41% chance of. His eye to hit ratio. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the obviously you guys were at the game. How did you feel? What was the sort of atmosphere in the ground? Because I was watching the game with my dad and my brother, and we weren't worried. We were very relaxed, but it was a bizarre game because the sort of performance wasn't really great, but the goals were outstanding. Norwich were decent in the second half, but they sort of gave us too much respect, and they sort of were sitting very deep initially. And then later on in the second half, they did move up the pitch, and then that's when they started sort of causing havoc, really. How was it? How did that come across, like, actually at the game?
Do you want me to say that? I'll take that. For me, the part when it changed actually for me, and I know he's been getting a lot of plaudits since he signed everything, but when it really changed for me was when Flamini went off. And there were a couple of times where me and Luke, who sits next to me, were saying he's getting a bit carried away, he's getting too far forward. Only a couple of times. But actually, when he went off, it took us maybe 10, 20 minutes, like in both halves kind of thing, to get sorted. And I think that's what really brought them into the game.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that absolutely. I echo that. It wasn't a very Flamini way to actually go off injured though. He basically just headbutted someone. He kind of went for the ball, but he was actually thinking about, I think I'll just take someone out if I'm completely honest. There's a guy that's wearing some sort of Coleman's mustard shirt, and I hate mustard, so I'm just going to go and nut him. And he ended up getting concussion. And Arsene Wenger said after the game, I don't know, sometimes the doctors say you have to be out for 5 days before you can play again. Now, I've never had proper concussion before, I don't think, because 5 days being out, I don't know whether that's a precaution or not, but it's a bit scary if he is out, because we need him for Dortmund.
Yeah.
We'll come to that in a minute. But yeah, in the atmosphere in the ground, it's similar to what you said, Ben. Actually, it was almost a bit like expectation. We know that we're on a good run at the moment. We know we're playing really, really well, and we've got some fantastic players that are rotating around each other, and they're all very, very confident. But you're still nervous when that goal goes in by Howson. You're still nervous about what's going to happen. It only takes one scabby refereeing decision, it takes a bit of Anthony Tainerness, and you're all of a sudden find yourself 2-2. But what made me laugh, we were just briefly talking about it before we went live, was I got home and I've just been looking at last night and then this morning I've just been looking at Phil Thompson, and he's such a mug, isn't he, that guy? I mean, his comments on Sky afterwards, I mean, I didn't see it because I was coming back, but and I haven't listened to it because, quite frankly, having to listen to that big-nosed tool talk for more than 2 minutes is quite trying in itself. But it actually says, the headline is Arsenal lacking killer instinct. Despite Arsenal winning 4-1 over Norwich at the Emirates, Phil Thompson believes that the Gunners still lack that drive to finish teams off. It's like, what exactly do we have to do? Do we have to win 21-0 and kill every single footballer that isn't an Arsenal player on the pitch before Phil Thompson says, I think they've got that killer instinct back? I mean, the way that Flamini pulled out a knife from his sock and assassinated that midfielder, now that's the killer instinct we're looking for. I don't know.
I hope Flamini is back for Tuesday as well. I think he will be. It wasn't too far away from us. It was kind of just to the right hand side when he kind of kamikazed that guy. Is it Tete or something, that guy?
Yeah.
I was calling him Tetley because it was almost the same spelling as Tetley. But Flamini tried to get straight up, didn't he? And he actually fell back down. And
you could tell he wasn't right, and he was groggy.
And the physios kept saying, "You were right, you're right," and he was almost getting annoyed with them to get back on the pitch, saying, "I'm fine, I'm absolutely fine." But you could tell he wasn't when he came back on.
He might as well have had little birdies tweeting around his head.
Yeah, because it was funny, because when I don't know if you would have seen this, but when he went off and the physios were talking to him, it was almost like he sort of threatened them with the same thing he said to the other geese. He's like, if you take me off, I'm going to blind you as well. It was really that sort of thing. And then as he went back onto the pitch, he'd had about 10 Magners or something, and he was just like all over the shop. But
I love that idea. Awesome. The idea that is it Colin Lewins, our physio? He's just like he's saying, Matthew, you're okay. I'm gonna have to take you off, and he's just like, if you take me off, I will hit you. I will hurt you. I have a razor blade in my pocket. I love Flamini. I love him and his general angriness.
Yeah.
Good game though. Good game. Good result. Plenty of goals.
Very good.
Happy Howard.
Yeah, good. And when I say Bendtner was good, he's completely different player to Giroud, and you could tell that. I mean, when he came on, when I say he did well, I mean he actually managed to control the ball. He passed it. He made runs. Things weren't bouncing off him. But he's a very different player. Although he's still a big centre forward, he's more kind of lanky than built, if you like. But he's, Giroud with his back to goal, plucking the ball out the air, jumping up for headers. He's not a like for like at all, and I don't mean in terms of ability, obviously, but in terms of style of player as well.
I don't know. His touch is normally his second touch is a tackle, but I see him as similar to Giroud actually, because he is that sort of player that will hold the ball up and win headers and stuff. I don't know, Ben.
I'd have to politely disagree. I was listening to the Arse blog.
Don't politely disagree. Really angrily, rudely
disagree. But I was listening to the Arse blog on Friday podcast, and he had Philippe Auclair on, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but the French media describe Giroud as a creator in the box. That's what they sort of described him as, and it's interesting, isn't it? He's almost got like the Walcotts about him, that when he's able to do something instinctive, sort of more than often it comes up with something truly special. But it's strange because his technique isn't the best. But when you let him do that, he just creates something. It's magic, and it's just that cutting edge. And it's weird. It's like, I don't know, his ability on the pitch doesn't match what's like your head and your heart says. I don't know. It's a peculiar thing to watch him because he's so good, and I don't know. It's like he's just not aesthetically pleasing or something. Obviously, he's the most beautiful man you've ever seen, but football-wise, there's something, I don't know, something that doesn't tick a box, but
it works.
So good. Exactly, it works. And I don't know what I'm trying to put my finger on. Something.
He's
I'm not sure what it is.
He's so strong as well. The way he holds people off is just, with his back to goal, and he has kind of two players on him and still manages to kind of dink it round the corner. Actually, some of his touch is so much better than last year, and sometimes it is good to watch his touch. But I know what you mean about there's just something. And maybe it's just because he's so big.
Yeah. He's a big guy, isn't he? And he throws himself around. And last year, the ball would come up to him and he'd get muscled off by a couple of defenders. But this year, he's so strong. It's just brilliant. It's really, really good to watch. But just a couple of things. Can I pick up on a couple of things there? Firstly, who is Philippe Auclair? Because I thought it was Philippe Auclair. It's Philippe Auclair. He's his Italian cousin. Secondly, the touch of the Walcotts. Is that like a syndrome where you just go running into blind alleys?
No, but you know, like his stats. Like his stats make it seem like he's messy, but then when you actually watch him, there's something missing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't want to sound like I'm just being really negative, because he was awesome at times on Saturday, but I don't know. There's just something there. I'm not sure what's maybe missing. It's not the right word, but I don't know. It's still something.
We talk about someone who was awesome again, Aaron Ramsey.
Oh my God.
And Jack Wilshere, actually, and Mesut Ozil.
No, do Ramsey first.
Chris, you must have been quite near Ramsey when he did that pirouette.
Oh, brilliant. The touch as well. Like when you see it in real time, because as a really, really basic amateur footballer who plays central defence and sees himself as somewhat of a ball-winning defender, and no, Steve, no comments about me fresh air kicking at five-a-side about 5 years ago.
Beckenbauer.
Yeah. But just to bring the ball out of his feet, that was the thing that was the most impressive for me. Like, he dummied one defender, he dummied another defender, but then there was a little touch which he just sort of brought the ball just literally about 10, 15, well, it's probably about 30 centimetres out of his stride, and then just levered it in. That's the sort of stuff that touch is too short and it gets stuck under his feet. That touch is too far and a defender just clears it away. But he was just inch perfect for him to just smash the ball home. So he was really good again throughout the whole game. I don't know whether or not having 37 minutes or whatever it was that Flamini played before coming off will be any good for him, having not played on. I think played for Wales during the week, and whether or not that's going to have any impact for Dortmund. But he's a player that we absolutely need to be playing all the time at the moment.
Yeah, he was ridiculous. It was the confidence. Like, he was shooting from absolutely everywhere. Like, I couldn't understand it. He was just getting the ball and just like smashing it a goal, but it wasn't like air shots. It was like really testing the keeper every time. And my sort of bugbear with him was that he used to slow us down with this sort of Cruyff turns and the sort of spinning on the spot. But he's just, I don't know, just something. It's ticked in his head, isn't it? And he's now he's unbelievable. Like, he's playing as if he's a world class player.
Yeah, he is. Ben, on the TV, because I noticed it when I watched Match Today back. Before he scored, he kind of lobbed it over a player's head.
Yeah.
And then controlled it the other side. Did you see he clapped? He knocked it over the guy's head and then clapped as he got it the other side.
Yeah, just to really mug him off. Yeah.
Love it.
Oh man.
So the midfield, we've got some real quality in midfield now. Who would be your midfield if everybody was fit?
Go on, Chris, you go.
Flamini breaks up the play and is becoming, every game you see him, is becoming a leader, even without the badge, the captain's armband. Ramsey has to play, and then you have to play Ozil because he's just, again, he was brilliant, and it's just effortless how he just glides across the ball. But it's like little things like his ability to retain the ball as well as his strength on the ball as well. And it really must cheese really average players like, most of the Norwich midfield and defence. It must really cheese them off to see someone like that because he's brilliant and he's strong and he's scoring goals and he's getting assists and they're playing for Norwich and third from bottom. And
there was a bit in the game where he
has to play in yellow every week.
Yeah, it was a bit in the game where
yellow
he was in
and
front
green
of us.
actually, because obviously yellow and blue is totally different and amazing. But
there was a bit where Ozil was just in front of us with the ball, and it was almost as if he was saying, "Come and get the ball, come and get the ball." And he was just leaving it.
You can't have the ball.
Yeah, and he was just taking it away from them for about.
You want the ball? You can't handle the ball.
Okay, so what about the width?
Cazorla on the left, with Podolski rotating, and then it's got to be Walcott on the right because of the pace. So.
Oh, Ben, go on then, Ben.
Sharp intake of breath.
Sharp intake of breath. It was. I would go with what we had on Saturday, but switch out Arteta for Flamini because Flamini's form has masked Arteta's rustiness, in my opinion.
Good shout.
Steve?
Okay. So you'd have what, Rosicky out wide?
No, sorry. I will have Flamini, Ramsey, and then Cazorla, Ozil, Wilshere, Giroud.
Okay.
Wilshere was brilliant, wasn't he? That was.
Oh my God! He's got his he's nearly got that burst back, hasn't he?
Yeah. Steve, talk about Wilshere because we've been talking and my voice.
Yeah, I mean Wilshere, his goal, he was actually central, wasn't he, when he scored that? And there was a part in the second half actually. It wasn't very long at all, but there was a part in the second half where Ozil went out to the left and Wilshere went through the middle for a bit. But it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure will he have just the five that play all the time. I think he'll probably rotate it a bit, but if I had to choose, I'm a big fan of Arteta, but I just don't see how you can not choose Ramsey and Flamini at the moment. And then you have to put Ozil in there, Cazorla, and I probably would go for Walcott as well, just because I think we are missing that bit of pace. But you have to get Jack involved, and when Podolski's fit, he's going to score goals. You know, he got double figures on goals and assists last year.
Exactly.
That's going to be more difficult this year, isn't it? Because he's not going to get as many games, and he's also been injured for it'll be like 2.5 months. But...
Yeah, he's got 2 already, though, hasn't he? Got the couple against Fulham.
Yeah, true.
But I think we kind of got to remember that it's going to be nice to rotate because we obviously got to keep players fresh. But as you were saying, Steve, because it's tactically beneficial to do it as well. Because against West Brom, we needed some pace.
Yeah.
And where people sort of basically park the bus, you're going to need someone to sort of run in behind, and that's what we weren't having. And luckily enough, Norwich, they were so flat, and it gave room for the free, as in against Napoli, to sort of rotate and basically be so fluid, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It can happen, but there's going to be games where you're going to need to play Podolski to sort of smash one in, i.e. Fulham, where it was looking a bit worrying, and he just absolutely thunder blasted it into the back of the net. So
yeah, do you know what? You're absolutely right with that, because think about those home games last season when Walcott would play, and it'd be against those sort of lesser teams that just sit 10 men on the edge of the box, and Walcott's sort of strength is with his pace in behind the defenders. And when you've got a team sitting so deep, there was a few games last season he was completely nullified. So that's the sort of game that Arsene Wenger should probably look at and say, actually, we're playing Fulham at home this weekend, and Walcott's probably not going to get in behind defenders too much. So let's mix it up a little bit. Let's play Santi on the right, for example, and Podolski on the left, because we need that little bit of craft, because we're going to need to have quick interplay of passing in sort of tight, confined areas, and Cazorla, Ozil, Wilshere, they can all do that. But let's talk about Wilshere's goal, because it was like a fine. Every time I watch it, it's like a fine vintage. It's like a fine bottle of red that just gets better with age. So I've watched it like 3 or 4 times now already, and you see it live, and you're like, wow, that's a good goal. You see it again in the replays, and I was like, wow, he meant that flick, that little flick that he did when Giroud played the ball to him. He actually meant that. And then I got home and watched Match of the Day. I was like, oh, that is a brilliant goal from start to finish. And then this morning on Goals on Sunday, I watched it, and it got even better. It's just it's maturing the more times I watch it.
It's ridiculous, that goal. It's ridiculous is the word I was described to use it. I follow there's a page on Facebook called Lad Bible or something, and it just talks about kind of blokey stuff, and they put a status up saying Match of the Day can't show Wilshere's goal because they're not allowed to show porn.
Yeah.
Did you hear about, Ben? You might say this. Go on.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Did you see the person that put it on that Pornhub?
Yeah. That's it. I saw a tweet. You must have seen the same tweet as well.
Yeah, sorry.
Someone put it on that porn site, Pornhub, and described it down as just total filth.
Yeah.
That's what I read. Just like, genius.
Oh man, alive!
Right.
Tweet of the year.
Am I gonna have to change our settings now to say we mention the word porn?
You've done it again.
God.
Stop.
That's that watershed moment again. We're an 18 podcast now. Tried so hard to be universal for everyone, but
we've got about 10 minutes left before we go on to talk about the Dortmund game. There's just a couple of things I want to say. One thing about having Walcott is that defences do sit a lot deeper, which can be useful. But before we move on, Chris, how did you feel? It was quite a weird moment actually when we were singing Bergkamp's song for Ozil.
People get hung up on that sort of stuff, but I really, really don't mind. It doesn't mean that we're lessening. I mean, it doesn't mean that we're lessening the wonder of that song, the Bergkamp Wonderland song, and it doesn't mean that it's his. I don't see it as his song. I see. I mean, songs evolve as you get new players in all the time, so it doesn't really bother me that much. I do like that. You sold Bay, we signed Mesut Ozil. It's just that's a lovely one. That's a lovely one to sort
That was beautiful. Let's just stop recording now. Just stop.
That's the sort of one that you want to do a YouTube video, record it, and then just someone anonymously, like Paperboy, the computer game Paperboy style, just lob it through the windows of Daniel Levy's office and say, "Play me," on an iPad or something. Yeah. Ben, your iPad. We've got a team. We've got a crack team together.
Yeah.
What I liked is because there was the Sky Sports Bergkamp interview this week, wasn't there? Yeah. And they asked him about who he feels is more like him, Van Perstrings or Ozil. And in a roundabout way, he kind of said Ozil because he's more about creation than he is scoring.
Yeah.
So it was a nice way. I liked seeing it, but it was it was a bit weird, but no, in a good way.
Mm. And Dennis probably thought he should have said, and any sort of reference to the child inside you just makes me shudder inside it. So I don't have a child inside me, neither does Mesut, and therefore we are alike. Also, my hair, I may be Dutch, and my hairline may be receding, but at least I'm not using Dutch just for men. Have you seen that? Van Persie's now he's lost all of his greyness. And he's tried to obviously recapture his youth by going all jet black now. Tosser.
Yeah, but I'm not sure I can believe you on that because you accused me of that in the office this week.
Well,
dyeing my hair when I just looked at you blankly.
Yeah, well, if you go from being fair-haired to black overnight, Steve, what am I supposed to
do? Ben, would you describe me as fair-haired?
No.
Shut up and move on with a question.
Okay, so on to the Dortmund game then. Hopefully this will go out onto iTunes before the game's actually played. They've got quite a few injuries at the moment, haven't they?
Have they?
Yeah, look, they're right back. The Polish, is it Piszczek or however you pronounce it? He didn't play against England. So I
No,
had a
he's
look
out for
today,
a
and
long.
he's out. Hummels didn't play on Saturday, and
Suspended.
I'm not sure how to pronounce. Is it Gundogan?
He's out.
He's out as well.
They had Royce, Bender, and Sahin all back, so they will play.
Oh,
Okay.
So pretty weak team then.
Yes.
They're really scraping the barrel there. Yeah.
Rubbish. Did you hear the rumours today about Lewandowski? Arsenal and City to fight it out for Lewandowski.
That
Can
would
we
be
dream
the
for a
wettest.
second? Let's dream.
Let's dream. Let's just take a moment's silence to dream.
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 Beautiful.
Steve, it doesn't work with a moment's silence when you're going dream.
What? I didn't say that. I didn't say that. You must have been dreaming.
It would be. It would be the wettest of wet dreams, wouldn't it? With Lewandowski and a cheeky 25 million. And let's face it, it's not beyond. The more I think about it, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, is it? I mean, his contract's up in the summer. Dortmund would want to get some money for him. They probably don't want to give him to Bayern Munich. Okay. He's got Ozil and Podolski, but apparently he's a good mate with Podolski. Yeah, and Szczesny's in his national team.
And Fabianski.
If I had a long beard that I could actually grow, I'd be stroking it right now and going,
But he would be ideal. Sorry, I'm going to get caught up in the whirlwind. But he would be ideal for if we had Cazorla, Ozil, Wilshere in midfield. He'd be the ideal striker who could make runs in behind.
Yeah, he's got a bit of everything about him, hasn't he?
Yeah, he would.
I haven't seen enough of him, Ben. You know more about that than me, though. So
yeah, I've slightly been in love with him for ages. Sorry.
What does he bring?
Everything.
What he can
literally like hashtag everything. He's awesome. His control, his finish. He can turn. He can play with his back to goal.
Can he play the banjo?
He can play the banjo. He can play the triangle.
The triangle.
While running with the ball.
And serving a cake, a various assortment of Mr. Kipling's cakes.
Yes, he can. No, honestly, he's awesome. But I think he will end up at Bayern. But you never know. He might, because we can offer cash, couldn't we? We could say he's 25 million.
Bosh.
How do you feel about Bosh? Yeah, as he puts it on the table, Bosh. How do you feel about that? So you never know.
Yeah.
Steve, what do you think about this weekend, this Tuesday then? Nervous?
I mean, yeah, it's going to be probably the hardest game we've had this year. They've got a few players back. They're one of those teams, actually, where you look at them and you think some of their players, not just Lewandowski, but I'd take Royce, I'd probably take Piszczek, the right back as well, if he was fit. And in a weird way, I like Dortmund. I like the way they've gone about things, making their team, but I hope we smash them.
in the faces.
In the face. And Klopp's suspended as well, isn't he?
With an iron.
Talking about in the face, Klopp's suspended for screaming at that fourth official, isn't he?
Wolverine growl.
Yeah.
Are they missing their goalkeeper as well?
No. Is he out?
I'm not sure.
He got sent off, didn't he?
But isn't it only one game in the Champions League?
I think it was one because it wasn't violent conduct or anything. It was handball, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it's going to be tough this week. This Tuesday. This next month is basically going to define our season, I think.
Yeah, literally will.
I think we could beat Dortmund. I think we could beat Dortmund this Tuesday. I think Lewandowski is going to play. I'm going to jinx it. Maybe I should touch some wood whilst I say this. He's going to play absolutely rubbish, and he's going to give a few winks to some of the players and say, "See you in January, lads."
Because he heard our podcast.
Yeah, he heard our podcast, and he's
heard it here first.
And he's going to walk over to Mezek, give him a cheeky wink, and go, "Keep one of the car parking spaces underneath the stadium free, because Bobby Lewandowski, he's coming in."
Bobby.
Yeah, he's got a short name already. I've done it. He's got a car parking space. He's looking for houses in Cockfosters. He'll be rocking up in January. His best friends are all around. We've done a podcast on him, and that's it.
Speaking of Bobby,
he's going to bang a hat trick on Tuesday, isn't he?
Speaking of Bobby, he was there on Saturday, wasn't he?
Was he?
He came on pitch at half time and had a bit of an interview.
I don't know. I was getting a beer.
I
I was queuing for the vast majority of half time for a beer, which I then had to sink incredibly quickly in order to get back for the second half. Totally
And
unrewarding.
all to miss Bobby.
And all for £4.50 or something like that for rubbish Carlsberg.
So do we reckon then the lineup's going to be Chesney, Gibbs, who was quality again, Sanya, Koscielny, Mertesacker, Flamini? Do you reckon he'll play Ramsey next to Flamini?
Yes.
Okay, because he's gone for Arteta and Flamini together recently, hasn't he?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same lineup that he did against Napoli.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having more of a sort of European side maybe with Rosicky, Arteta. Because we're going to get less pressure, aren't we? In midfield, they're not going to be sort of hassling as much. It's more about sort of getting the ball.
What about Zola?
Oh God. He's got some fun problems, hasn't he?
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
I think Cazorla will be rested because Cazorla's just come back from injury. He's played 70 minutes, 60, 70 minutes at the weekend.
Yeah, but he's like our best player.
Him on the bench. Yeah, but he'll keep. We've got so many best players at the moment.
Yeah, but we want all the best players.
We've already got all the best players. Don't worry, Ben. It's fine.
But it's almost getting to the point, isn't it, where Flamini, Ozil, Cazorla, they're like the first three.
Yeah.
On the team sheet, and then
Ramsey.
I know, but then this is the problem. Then you've got Ramsey, and then you've got
Mertesacker. Chesney.
Giroud.
Yeah, well, he's not going to put Bendtner up there, is he?
Do you know earlier we didn't even talk about Ox?
Go on then, quickly.
We didn't even mention Ox, did we, when we were talking about midfielders and width and pace and stuff?
Yeah. Okay. He looked like he was going to have a. I think Arsene Wenger thought he might have a breakthrough season this season because he had a pretty good start a couple of years ago. He struggled a bit last year, but then he started him for the Aston Villa game and he looked lively for the time that he was on and doing his what was it? Ben, you might know. What did he do? What injury was it?
Oh, I don't know.
He did his cruciate, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a big one. It wasn't.
Yeah, I think he did his cruciate.
And
right, well, we've just gone over the 30-minute mark, lad. So to finish off, I've actually been sent a scenario from someone on Twitter this week.
Oh,
I know you've seen it, Chris. I don't know if you did, Ben. But it's from a Shane Lynch, who is at Mystic Gooner on Twitter, and he sent hello, Mystic Gooner.
Hello, your mysticliness.
His scenario, he described it a bit of a puzzler, like from the film Saw. So basically, what you've got is Cashley, Van Perstrings and Adam Manure all together, and they're all in trouble, and we're talking kind of life or death here, and you have to save one of them, and it can only be one. Who would it be and why? Ben.
Oh my God. Do I get to kill the others?
Let's not get too harsh here, hey?
We're definitely over 18 now.
Serious, yeah.
Well, if you're going to do a job, you've got to do it properly, guys. Come on. What is this? When have we ever been half-hearted at the Suburban Gooners?
Do you know what we should do? Let's think about what would Flamini do? WWFD. What would Flamini do?
So who would you save, Ben?
He would eat them.
Who would I save? Oh my God! There's not even going to be a right answer. Go on, Chris. Say something.
So basically, it would be that Dutch bloke, and the reason why is because I'd want him to get into the Man United team every week to see the slow deterioration under Moyes as we end up winning the title, the Champions League, the FA Cup, and we also beat them 7-0 home and away. And Van Persie has to sit there, and his little boy inside is crying because he left Arsenal too soon, and if he'd have stuck around, he'd be in one of the best teams in the world. And maybe I should wake up.
Okay, Ben.
I think I'm just going to retweet that. That was pretty good because
he has to tweet it before you retweet it.
Well, Chris has just tweeted it, hasn't he?
No.
Chris just tweeted it.
No.
Oh, maybe not then. I don't think you guys got my drift at all. Yeah? I've been left out in the wilderness. But no, I think I would have to save him as well. Oh God, it's such a horrible question, but thank you, Van Persie. I'm afraid.
Mine would be manure. Add a manure because actually, if you get rid of Cashley and the Dutch guy, that actually weakens two of our rivals. Whereas manure isn't really doing anything, is he?
True.
Mm.
God, you thought about this long and hard and went real tactical.
We'd have
Yeah.
had half an hour on this question.
Yeah. Pondering.
Yeah.
Philosophizing or something.
Cool. Okay, well we better finish it off there, guys. We've just gone over the half an hour. If anybody does have any more scenarios they want to send in, chuck it into one of us. And any final words, guys, before we close off?
I will just quickly. I don't know if we're going to be doing this sort of thing, but I just wanted to give a shout out to somebody.
Yeah.
His name's Rich, and his Twitter handle's @ArsFC. He's the gentleman that designed our Suburban Gooners avatar / logo, and I just wanted to say thank you, and it's much appreciated. And he's a top bloke, and get on him. Follow.
Thank you very much. Thank him, Chris.
Thank you very much, Rich. I'm very thankful. I was just pondering what my final words should be. I think I'll just keep it to I love lamp.
Cool. Okay. Well, until next time, Suburban Gooners out.